Good afternoon, class. Today, as promised from the previous lesson, you're going to be reading a myth and then writing a set of QAR questions based around that myth. So as you come into class, take a look at the Google Classroom and you'll see the instructions for today. First thing I want you to do will be to be sure you have your packet that we looked at and highlighted last class with the themes of creation, the 5 themes of creation. You're going to need that today as you create your questions, but then also, of course, to answer the question of which theme or themes are evident in the creation myth that you are reading. So I've kept up the resources from last class, including the QAR strategy, which will serve to help remind you of what the QAR is. Keep in mind that there are 3 types of questions: text explicit, which we'll also refer to as right there questions; text implicit questions, which we'll also call think and search; and then finally experience-based questions. Last class we took a look at these types of questions, and on this practice QAR that I also have linked on the lesson for today, we tried our hand at a couple of questions. So my other section of class also did that, so you'll see their names on here as well for now. But we had different types of questions and we practiced it. Also, as you are creating your questions today, be sure to use the QAR question stems that I have linked here. These question stems will help to guide you as you create your 3 different types of questions. As for the assignment, the most important page that you'll need to use and utilize as you are working today will be the QAR MythLinks 16. On this page, you're going to have, here we go. On this page, you are going to have the there we go. You are going to have the names of the different myths that are going to be your groups, and then here, as you can see in period 7-8, the group member names are listed in italics. So, first thing to take a look at here will be that each myth will be available. So if you are Jessica, Debbie, Leslie, Jordan, Lucas in this myth or in this group, you're going to click on the Ages of Man text, click on the link, and then the PDF file of that will open up and you'll be able to read the myth. Next, from there, you're going to see that you have access to the Google form. I have made this editable by you, so if you click on this, you're going to get a look at this Google form. Some of you have experience using Google Forms, some of you don't. All of your Google Forms will initially look like this, with the title of your myth, your period, and that it's a QAR assignment. In the assignment for today, as you can see on the Google Classroom, I'm going to ask that you create 5 text explicit or right there questions, 3 text implicit or think and search questions, and then 2 experience questions. Your 5 text explicit questions or right there questions must be multiple choice with 1 correct answer and the 3 incorrect options, but make those reasonable. Don't make it downright silly. So, for example, you can see the different question types that are available to choose from here. For your 5 text explicit questions, you will type your question here and deliver a number of options that could be the potential answers, 1 of which is correct, 3 of which are incorrect. Add an option, add an option, add an option. Bless you, hon. It's fine. So, for your 5 text explicit questions, make those multiple choice. Back on the Google Classroom, you will then see next that you are to make 3 text implicit questions. However, one of those text implicit questions must use the feature of checkboxes. So after you've made your first question over here and you've done your 4 other multiple choice questions, you'll add a question, and one of your text implicit questions is going to use checkboxes, And the question that I already have typed on here is going to be, which theme or themes of creation are evident in this myth? Select all that apply. So, just as I've told you to do, you will type Note that there are a couple features on Google Forms. For example, by selecting these 3 dots on the bottom right, you'll be able to add hint text. For this type of question, I would want you to include the information, select all that apply. And here in your options, you will put your 5 different themes of creation: separation, imperfection, dualism, sacrifice, and cycles of creation and destruction. Your 2 other text implicit questions that you will use must be in paragraph response. Your experience questions should also be in paragraph response. So that will simply be by adding your question and selecting paragraph as your response. There are other features that you can utilize here. You are able to add a title and description. So if you want, for example, to give a title for your experience questions and add a brief description, that would be a good option. You would also be able to add an image if it is class and school appropriate, based on the myth that you have read and are working with. So clearly you could pull in images from Google search to spice up and make this Google form much more entertaining, interactive, and appropriate. There are other features as well, such as adding video, which may or may not be appropriate, but I'll leave that up to you, but make good choices. And you're able to add sections as well if you wanted to make the first section your right there questions, your second section the think and search questions, and the third section your experience questions. And I'll leave you to play with those options. By selecting at the top this painter's palette, you can either change the colors of the form or, much more enjoyably, use some of these different themes or upload your own photo. That would be appropriate. Again, you could pull something in from a Google image search and make this form your own. So your assignment, once again, to recap today, is going to be to get into the groups that I have assigned for you. Group 1, in this instance, will sit at the front of the room by the podium underneath that Defending Titles poster. Group 2 will sit underneath the Globe Theater on the other front corner of the room. Group 3 will sit by the Steve Prefontaine poster and the Pillar of Heroes. Group 4 will sit next to the Facial Hair Appreciation Club wall. Group 5 will sit on the couch by the teacher's desk, and Group 6 will sit on the couch by the door into the classroom. I do expect you to read your myth in groups aloud. That is not an option. And I completely expect the substitute teacher to walk around and ensure that you are reading the myth aloud with one another. My other expectation of class today is that you will not only read the myth in its entirety, but also create these 10 questions, 5 text explicit, 3 text implicit, and 2 experience questions. My third expectation is that you would be able to answer every one of those questions thoughtfully and correctly, because you are going to play the teacher in this role as we get to rotating these myths in the following class. So, all your information can be found on this Google Classroom. If for any reason you are absent or different group members of yours are absent, you are expected to read the myth that was assigned to you and to be able to contribute to the group when you return. To the 2 freshmen who are not going to be there, I have included them in Group 5. and they will have to read and create questions separately, and I will work with them on or one-on-one. They'll be on the field trip with me today. So students, have a great Monday class. Enjoy the myths that you are reading and come up with some great questions to ask to your classmates. Have a good day.